Alrighty, we got Lance, we got Hylan, we got Rowan. Welcome back, everyone, to Nopes and Opes. This is the crew. Me, Hylan, good old Lance. We're back on video. It's exciting stuff.
Well, it is. I mean, yeah, it is exciting. But I just think I do want to say though, you brought up a really good point. Like, I didn't realize how much I once the last time we videoed, how much you actually play to the video, and you don't really realize people on the audio can't always see like hand gestures or what you're referencing, and it's crazy the amount of things that actually go into all of this, right?
Yeah, you actually have to think, and most people don't think, and they're just like, oh, we just sit down and we just chat, and then we make millions of dollars because people love our chats.
Yeah.
Like, no, there's got to be a little bit more effort into it. And to be honest, full transparency, this is the second time that we've started to record this one. We had started a little bit earlier, but we didn't like the direction we're going in. So this is attempt number 2. And why I'm excited for this attempt is because I had a question that I want to ask.
Well, can I just interrupt real quickly? I just want to say one thing.
No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
I think that's an important point because I think it does show how much we actually do care about this and how much time and thought we actually do put into the quality of the production. Like it isn't just simply sitting down and having a chat together, which in a sense it is, but there is a lot of thought. There's a lot of time. There's a lot of, like, you put in a lot of effort in editing and things like that. And so I think it's really, I really appreciate that about you, because I think we both have pretty high standards and definitely have high hopes. Like we're both not where we want to be as far as production wise, but each time we kind of struggle as much as we can towards more and more quality and higher production. So, and it's
honestly one, it's something that we had talked about, that you actually wrote in my copy of the book, where you just have like these expectations for me to like really strive. And I'm like, I should hold myself to those standards. That's just the same thing with the video, same thing with the podcast. Like, we've released the first episode and there's things I like about it, but there's a lot of things I don't like about it.
Yeah.
And it's okay. Like, it's as best as we can do right now. We can only improve and try and get better and speak more fluently and not say so many ums or likes or whatever.
I can't guarantee that.
We'll just continue to do it, and Hylan will repeat himself 3 times. And I will say, as it was mentioned in the first episode that's on video, the YouTube will be a little bit more uncut and raw, whereas Spotify will be the kind of pristine edited version. And when I was editing the first ever video for Spotify, every time you were doing the 3s, now that you pointed out even more, I just was kind of like, Hylan, you're killing me.
Yeah, I was shocked.
But it's something I still enjoy doing. Like, I say that with kind of the mentality of like, I do love doing it, but in a more teasing way than actually complaining.
Well, I'm going to try my best, but no guarantees.
No, don't even stress it. So what we want to talk about today is Hylan brought in this sweatshirt. And for those of you listening, it is a gray sweatshirt that says Jefferson Football on it. And it is very tattered and has been worn for many years. The sleeves are very worn down. It's originally a gray color, and the sleeves are white and almost see-through. And the lining has been ripped up as if he was attacked by a bear. And yeah, it's just a very tattered thing. And you brought it in for a specific reason, so I'll open the floor to you.
Well, I did bring it in for a very specific reason. And the first reason is because now that we're doing video and I can't hide behind the audio, and people actually know what it is that I look like and what it is that I wear, I just want to explain the reasoning of why you will see me in this same hoodie probably every time, if not every time, close to every time.
If you don't see him in it, it's a special episode.
Yeah, you should worry. You should be like, oh, what's going on? But I will wear this same hoodie for every episode for the exact same reason that I wore this one. I wore this one for the 2 years that I was in grad school, and probably a year before and maybe a year afterwards, probably every day, in some manner, right? Like if it was outside of work or whatever, but it would be on my body at some point every day. And I just, like, the reasoning behind why I wore that hoodie is a few things. One, it's because it allows me, like, the reason that I wear hoodies, and I only have one hoodie at a time. Like, I never have multiple hoodies. I like to keep things very simple. I like to have just one choice, and I go into my closet and it's like, nope, that's the outfit for today.
Yeah.
But so that was the hoodie for 3 or 4 years or whatever it was. And somehow it got me through grad school. I don't even know how that happened. But the reality is, for me, the reason that I wear hoodies is because it offers me a sense of protection from the world. And I just want to put it out there because I think for a lot of kids and a lot of adults as well, and you and I even mentioned for a lot of girls actually, and this comes from my experience working in the schools and working with middle school and high school. But I've asked a lot of different people, why they wear hoodies, because a lot of people are like me and they wear them every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize this, but I think it's pretty common. And if you are a parent, if you are somebody that works with kids, whatever, if you're around kids, or if you're in youth, whatever, if you see somebody that wears a hoodie constantly, and you like, you have any questions, you have any, like, maybe they have difficulties in school or difficulties conversing or whatever, just realize that a lot of times for those people, and I am one of them, hoodies offer a sense of protection. Like, when the world gets to be too much, when it becomes overwhelming, when we kind of want to shut it out, whether it's external, whether it's too loud, whatever it is, or whether it's internal, things are going on inside our head, whatever, it is just offers a chance to kind of pull up the hood, tune out the world, and go to a place where we need to go to take care of ourselves. So, just in a sense, I just want to put it out there that people that often wear hoodies, there might be a reason for it. And if you do care about them, if you do, like, want to reach them in some way, and they're a little bit harder to reach, you can kind of go and say, hey, like, what's the reasoning behind like, why you wear that hoodie? And a lot of the kids won't actually know. But in my experience, if I straight up say, hey, do you offer it for protection? Do you offer it as a sense of security? They will think, and they'll be like, oh, yeah,
Maybe.
I actually do.
Guess so, yeah.
And so it's interesting. But yeah, that's basically the reason that I brought that thing over.
Yeah.
And then two, I mean, it just shows, like, it just is an example of kind of one of my eccentricities, one of my kind of just weirdness that I carry throughout my life. And I think it's something that I like to look at. Like, people, they're like, just like, why do you have that? Like, what is the purpose? And it's like, I don't know. It's just a symbol of me, and everything that I encapsulate, the all the weirdness, all the eccentricities, just everything that makes me Hylan.
Yeah. And Lance is currently laying on it for the Spotify listeners and cleaning himself because he likes to lay on other people's clothes. And that's the only way we could coerce him up to the couch. Now, I want to get a little deep.
Okay.
Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
So you had made a comment about this sweatshirt being one of those weird intricacies of who you are as a person.
Yeah.
I have a question that I hope can lead us into a conversation that kind of is of the first episodes and whatnot,
Okay.
as to why or how people define what's weird about them. So I kind of under the understanding that nobody ever realizes the weird, intricate things about them. It's usually someone from their sphere of influence or an outside external force that points it out and then helps them realize it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that I have always struggled with. Like, when someone asks you, like, a common question in interviews is like, so, like, tell us about yourself. Like, who are you? What makes you unique? I always really struggle with that. I have such a hard time looking inward and finding the weird, interesting things or the descriptors of what makes me who I am as a person. Whereas some other people maybe really excel at it, but like it's always been a struggle for me. I need people to tell me what's weird about me. Do you ever struggle with that?
With that specific question or with the actual process itself?
Both.
If somebody were to ask me what makes me unique, I think I have a pretty genuine, or not genuine, pretty simplified, kind of generic answer.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, this, that, whatever. And it's just a interview question or answer. But yeah, that's a really good point, because for me, like wearing a hoodie every day, or for example, like I think I may have mentioned this before, but I like my closet is very, very simplified. Like I cannot buy more than one pair of jeans at a time. I only want to go in my closet and have one choice.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it's jeans weather, I don't want to choose between this pair and this pair. I only want one pair. And it's the same for shorts. It's the same for shoes. Maybe not shoes, but like I just want things very simplified. Otherwise I get confused. And so for me, that's very, very normal. But for other people, they look at that and they're just like, oh, that's just Hylan being Hylan, like so weird. And just, that's just what he does. And I think that's a really unique question, because I think it's very, very true. What I don't see myself as so weird.
Right. Do you think anyone really? Well, no, but there's some people that are like, I'm weird. Like they just identify as it.
I think one of the things that we're seeing in the world today that I think is difficult for kids is they're trying to differentiate themselves in so many different ways, right? Whether it's
do you think kids want to stand out by differentiating themselves?
I think they. This is so weird. As a 50-year-old dude answering this question, like,
okay, context. He's worked with children. Am I even on camera? Yes. All right. Continue.
You are?
I am now. I was, but just like part of my head was out of frame, so.
Oh man,
it's fine.
We can move.
No. It's good.
Okay.
We're good now. For context, you have worked with children.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I do feel like I have a little bit of insight, but I mean, if you like, I'm gonna answer as a 50-year-old dude what I think, but I think that kids think that they want to be different, think that they want to stand out, but in a general sense, depending on what stage they're at, like in their kind of maturity and growing up, in a general sense, they want to be part of the crowd. They desperately want to be in somewhere, whatever their people are, right?
Yeah.
And like we as young people, we don't have the sense of self yet to stand on our own. We need the support of others.
Yeah. I mean, don't you think we always need the support of others, or do you think you get to a point where you can't stand as one?
I feel much more stable now. At this point in my life, where I'm 50 years old, I almost to a fault, where I just really don't care what you think. In a general sense, I say that and I pretend to be like that, but that's not the truth in any way. I really do care what other people think, but I'm much better at hiding it. Like I won't show it as much.
Yeah. That's something that's interesting that you say that. Because I don't want to.
You can do it. Use your words, Rowan.
No. I know what I didn't want to bring it up because that might be what Ricky wants to talk about. But I recently was talking with Ricky, and he has been making little shorts for the podcast, which has been great, and we're very appreciative of it. And we were kind of talking about it, and I was, kind of giving him some props on how good he's done. And he kind of responded, not in like a negative sense, but was just kind of saying like, that it's appreciated But one thing that he's been trying to do is not give so much validity to other people's opinion, because then it can kind of make him feel like he is worth less,
Mm,
because people don't care about us so much about what he's doing or what he cares about.
yeah.
And that's something that I really can attest to. And it's something that I've worked on. And I think it just depends on the situation. Like, there are certain situations where I do care what people think. Like, for instance, if I'm with my family and I'm introducing them to someone I'm dating or a friend, or I bring home my 50-year-old boyfriend to come visit them at home, I want them to like whoever I bring over, right?
Yeah.
And so I do care about their opinion. But then there's situations where you're, out in the world and you're just living life. And if some random stranger comes up to you and says something about your outfit or whatnot, I don't think you should care, because it's some random stranger and their opinion doesn't matter. But it's just interesting from a younger person's perspective, is that it's not that through schooling or through life you're told that you should care, but it just kind of develops into that way, right? Like, naturally, there is this sense of you want to get your parents to approve of things, and then it slowly works its way into schooling. But then it's interesting, and I'm curious why some people, when they get into school or they get in front of these authoritative figures, they do not care what they think. It's kind of this like rebellion esque mindset, whereas I didn't necessarily have that mindset. And I don't know why.
Oh, it's not true. It's all fake. Working with kids, I can almost guarantee you, and myself, this comes from a very personal perspective, but I in high school was I wanted to rebel against everything. Right? I dropped out of school. I didn't do what people told me to do. I would be in a class and I'd have the test in front of me and I would do half of it perfectly. I remember I was in English class, and maybe I've told this story before, but poor Mr. Ernst, he just did not understand. But I I filled up the test, I did the front part, and I just refused to do the back part. And this was when, like, right before I dropped out. And he gives me back the test, and he's like, Hylan, can I talk to you? And I was like, yeah. And so he's like, I think, you did this first part perfectly and you got a 49 out of 50. So obviously you knew what you were doing. And I think you just forgot to do the second part here, like on the back. Like you didn't fill in any of these questions here. And I was like, no, I just didn't want to do it. And he's like, well, why? And I was like, I just, I just, I just don't want to, I just don't care. I don't want to do it. And he's like, but you know the answers. I was like, that has nothing to do with it. I'm not going to fill it out. And you could just see his poor little brain being like, this makes no sense to me. And I just, like, in a sense, like I did that all the time, but I just kind of want to say F you to the system, right? I just, I didn't want to play this game. I want to do my own rules, my own thing. And I
But
think the biggest rebel that you ever see, they are constantly thinking about how they appear to the world.
mm,
I don't think there's anyone that goes through this world without consciously being very aware of what the world is thinking about them.
sometimes I think I'm too aware to a fault. Like,
No,
it'd be easier to just go through life genuinely not thinking.
oh, I would love it. I would love it. I'm so jealous of people that I kind of perceive
Yeah.
as being kind of airheaded. And I don't know, maybe I'm misjudging them. It's very, very possible. But
Yeah.
I would love to go through life just being like, oh, life is good. Da, da, da. And just, I would love that. I'm so jealous of people that I
Yeah.
think go through life like that. But in the same sentence, I don't think that that there's anybody in this world who nobody gets through life for free.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I want to change topics a little, because this kind of brings up something that I think about a lot. So, being cognizant of what other people think, right? There's this desire for people to think a certain way of you. Something that I struggle with that's kind of in that same note is when people ask me, what do I want? That idea of what you actually desire in life.
Mm.
I've struggled with it for a long time. And it might be just because I haven't been used to be giving that decision to actually choose? Is it something that you've struggled with? Maybe it's the whole, kind of give or taker thing. Like as a taker, you do know what you want, so you get from people what you need. Not to say that Hylan is constantly doing that to people, but like I think it's an interesting concept because it's something that I really struggled with, in early years and even kind of now. Like I know certain things I want to do with my career, but on a daily basis, if they're like, "Hey, what do you want to do today?" I'm like, just I'm surviving.
Well, I think there's several different levels of that question. Like when you're like things are tough right now for both of us, right?
Yeah.
And it does make it tougher to get through the days. Like when somebody says, "Hey, what do you want to do?" and you don't have a lot of options, right? Like you don't have a lot of energy, you don't have a lot of money, you don't have a lot of...
disregardless of my situation, because we've hammered that plenty.
No, so I mean that's one level. Like I'm not too concerned about that level. That's just people making daily decisions.
Yeah.
That is what it is. But on the broader scale, like if you you scare Lance every time you do that.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, as far as answering what I want, what people want on a bigger scale, I think this is something that I do very well in a thinking way, like in my mind, I think I have things pretty well sorted out. But if you ask me, I think one of the things that I'm most proud of within this last year is really being willing to state and put it out there. Hey, this is what I want. I want this podcast to be successful. I want people to listen.
I'm trying, Hylan.
No, you're doing an excellent job. But I think I've spent 50 years having a really good idea of what's important to me, what I want, and not being willing to chase it as quietly bold as I would like, right? Being afraid, being conscious of what other people are going to think or say, or like if they give me a thumbs down or whatever on Facebook or whatever, what Instagram or whatever it is, and just being too concerned about all of the externals that I don't have a lot of control over. But yeah, I think that I do have a really, really good idea of what I want and an appropriate idea. I think a lot of the people in the world today are so influenced by social media and by external influences that they have no idea what they truly want.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's one of the things that I've actually done well is I've been able to tune out all of that and actually think quite a bit about what I want, but not chase it as fiercely as I should be.
Yeah.
And I think within this last year, I have taken some really quality steps forward, and that makes me super, super happy and super, super content. Even if things don't work out, even if I fall on my face and fail miserably and end up penniless and alone and a horrible mess, for some reason, I still feel like it's going to be okay. I don't know. I actually just wrote an email this morning stating that exact same thing.
Oh, wow. That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel that way. Like eventually it'll work out. But my brain struggles so much with the future that, oh man. All right. We'll just get into it. As of right now, shit is just all over the place for me. Like I'm moving, I'm stressed out about that. I'm struggling even to do the podcast and focus on that because it's like everything is changing, right? There's so many different things that are moving and whatnot. And I have to, like, everyone asks me, like, so, like, what do you want to do? And I fucking, it burns when I hear it because it's almost like I don't feel like I can tell people what I really want for my life because their opinion on it is not going to, like, I'm not going to like what they're going to have to say. They're not going to like what I have to say.
Guaranteed.
So you're like, I don't think we should approach this conversation because it's just tough. And it sucks because on one hand, I have struggled with when I tell someone what I want, and if the response I get is not like, you should do that, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I then think, oh no, what I want is bad, or like I shouldn't want that.
Yeah.
And you get controlled by the opinions of others, whether it be family that you look up to or just strangers that you talk about. And they're like, I don't know if I'd do that. And I'm like,
Right.
I don't know if we should talk anymore.
I mean, the whole world is telling you, hey, you should do this.
Right.
Right. You can, if you do this, you make money, you get this. And I mean, that's all advertising is, hey, you should do this.
Yeah. Well, I also think that there is this kind of pattern of life that I really despise, is that, so I have this idea of what a normal life is. Not to say that anyone's life is normal. Life in general is inherently individualized for everyone's experience, but there is the path you could do where you go to college, out of college, you get a nice cushy job, you get benefits, you work your way up, you get promoted, you find the love of your life. I'm doing quotations for those on Spotify. You get married, you have children, you cook out on the weekends, you eventually retire, you buy a lake house, and then you just live that, what I deem as a normal, just bland life. I don't want that. I can't stand it because I feel this sense of adventure and this wanting to go against the grain, much like yourself when you were in high school and they were like, Hylan, do the test. And you're like, I don't want to do it. And it's so hard to talk to people about it because the majority of people want the normal sense of life. Not many people that I know like to go against the grain. And so,
unfortunately for you, you have found the one person that is going to support you 1,000%, like not being normal.
Well, I think that's why our chemistry is so good, because even when we first started talking, it's not that I saw a lot of me in you because, you're an older peer of mine or whatever, but I noticed things that I admired about your individual sense of self that I was like, I like that. Or like, for instance, on the job site, Eric would be like, we're going to do it this way. And he'd be like, I'm not going to do it that way. And I'm like, okay, I like that. I can dig that, because, like I did all of the normal things you should do. Like I went to college, I worked at a 4-year degree. I got a nice cushy sales job out of college and I was making good money and I was miserable. I hated it. And now some people might think like, oh, you just didn't want to work hard. It's like, no, I was making great money. I was like, the money side and having that sense of security is great, especially now, given my circumstance. I'm like, that would be swell.
Yeah.
But it felt like, and me and Hylan have talked about this a lot off the podcast, but it feels like you're dying. It feels like you're losing that sense of who you are as a person. Like you're just giving it to someone else and you're not really being who you're supposed to be.
For me, like if I find myself in that situation, I label it as soul sucking.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it is so hard to motivate yourself. It really is. Like we talk about sphere of influence and how important it is. But when the sphere of influence is like, hey, what you want to do is not really that great of an option. You're like, the sphere of influence, it feels like they're failing you.
You're constantly fighting the tide.
Yeah.
Right? The tide is going one way and you're trying to swim the other way. And it's exhausting. And eventually, I mean, if you are in that situation, you will lose, right? The world will overcome you. Because I mean, like the whole sphere of influence, it is a congregation of people around you, right? It is more than one, and in that sense, against one.
Yeah, I'm interested to talk about this idea of like self motivation, because it's not something that's ever talked about in the book, and it's really popular with a lot of podcasts that are out there. There's so many like motivational, like.
Ooh, I'm ready. I have thoughts.
How to be the alpha, how to be the most best you or whatever, right?
Okay.
All this stuff, how to conquer life. It's very kind of far-fetched. And it's just like, wake up every day, clean your bed, like do all this stuff. And I'm like, yes, there's some truth to that. Like it can help psychologically.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to hear your ideas on how to motivate yourself.
I love this. I don't think it has anything to do with motivation. I think it has more to do with me knowing myself and what I actually want. And if I have a clear picture of what I want and what I truly desire in this world and the world that I want to create for myself, then the motivation happens, right? To come over here every day and record this podcast is super easy for me and something that I really enjoy and I get excited about because it is part of the world that I want to create. It's I I have no self motivation. I'm not very self disciplined. I don't have like the willpower. I don't wake up at 5:30 every morning and go run 6 miles and then do 300 push-ups and
Then a nice
that
path.
that's not yeah. I mean that's not my lifestyle. But every morning when I do wake up, if I feel that I have a clear picture that I'm on the path that's best for me and I am working towards the life that I wanted to create and I'm doing some positive things for myself and the world around me, then it's I don't know if it's a matter of motivation or what it is, but I feel energized, I feel positive, I feel able to accomplish the things that I need to accomplish and move forward in the best way possible. And that's that's it for me. But yeah,
Well,
like
then how do you turn off the sphere of influence that you have going against the grain? Right? Because you were saying that if you have an idea of what you really want for yourself, which I just told you I really struggle sometimes to tell people what I want, how do you combat with the people saying, like, I don't know if you should want that?
I realize that I've come to the conclusion, and this actually is in the book, but there is nobody in this world that can know me better than I know myself. So all of those people, whether I know they're well wishing, I know that they want the best for me, I know that they have my best interests in, that they're what they're doing and what they're saying.
No.
But there's nobody in this world, and I mean, there's some people that know me very well, but nobody knows me better than myself. And with that knowledge, I'm the one that needs to make the decisions that are best for me. Um, yeah, and that overrides everybody else.
That's interesting. I want to bring up a point. Maybe it'll interest you or whatnot. But so recently, I'm moving back home, and a lot of people are like, "Okay, Rowan, like, what's your plan?" Figuring that out. But I'll tell people on purpose things that they want to hear that will get them excited.
Okay.
To be like, "Oh yeah, that is a good idea," and I'm saying it kind of half-assed. Like in the back of my mind, I'm like, I know what I really want to do.
Not going to happen.
And like, yeah, I'll entertain it, but I'm not really like pushing for it.
Okay.
And it's this interesting thing where I'm like, I feel like I'm still kind of trying to people please. And it's kind of like this idea of like, I'm trying to get people to not worry about me.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it's a defense mechanism because you're like, just don't worry about me. It's tough. Right now, I'm in a very interesting and exciting time. Doesn't feel exciting, but it's exciting because I kind of have like I'm at the point for me where it's like I have to pick something and I actually have to try for it because if I don't do it now, I am going to miss it. Right? I'm 26. I'm not going to get any younger, and I'm not old. I know I'm not old, but if I don't start now working towards the thing that I really want, I'm gonna go do something else. I'm gonna have to really focus at that, get the cushy job, and then when I'm 45 or 50, I'll be like, I wish I had done that. Because I've talked with people like in my family that are like, I wish I had done this. Like I hear that constantly, and I never want to be that person. Like we talked before the podcast, in this idea of like regret. Like if you see someone that you fancy or find very interesting, you're probably never going to see them again. So like, why not go up to them and say hi, right?
Yeah.
Accept the rejection and whatnot. But man, oh man, rejection is tough. I've been around it a lot. Like I was in sales. I got turned down constantly. I've done stand-up comedy. I didn't do well, as you saw. So there is rejection that I'm used to, but I think it's the rejection of the sphere of influence that I think I really struggle with after the lacrosse sphere of influence kind of deal.
Well, I think for me, it has taken me, double the lifespan to create the confidence in myself and the knowledge about myself to be willing to like fail
Yeah,
and to be willing to let others down and not pursue the path that others want for me, um, and to develop the sense that I will rise up again,
yeah,
right? And to have the strength and the power and the skills to be able to overcome whatever obstacles I create for myself. And I think for anybody listening to these words and anybody that knows me personally, whether it's students or whatever, they I think it becomes very clear very quickly that this right here, this person is not normal. Right? This is not
yeah,
this is not what people are saying, man, I want to be just like him someday. Like the life that I have led, the paths that I have taken, the choices that I have made, not great. Right? A lot of them have led to some really bad consequences,
yeah,
but also amazing. I mean, I've had so many amazing experiences as well. And I, I don't know. I feel a little bit weird. That's like I've said this before, but one of the things that I feel really strongly about is I do not want to tell anybody else how to live their life because it's just it's nonsense. Nobody knows how to live your life the best except for you. You
yeah,
have to make your own decisions. You have to accept responsibility. You're the one that has to deal with the consequences. Nobody else, no matter how much they want to, no matter how much your sphere of influence wants to help you, wants to be on your side, wants the best things for you, they will not have to suffer any of the consequences.
yeah,
You are the only person that gets the chance to experience the consequences for the decisions that you make.
yeah,
And that's a really important point to think about because I don't think we really I don't it's really hard to grasp because we think, "Oh, our parents can bail us out or our friends can help us in this situation."
yeah,
And yeah, sure. They can help in some ways. They can offer some assistance in this situation or whatever. But in the end, everything comes down to you as an individual. That's a crazy thought.
yeah.
That's a really, really big thought.
It's
That's a
huge.
really scary thought.
Yeah. I mean, it's empowering and it's terrifying,
Absolutely.
right? It's one side. You then are like, okay, so like I have the decision, but then it goes to the terrifying side. It's like, hey, what are you gonna pick? Like, what are you
Well,
gonna do?
and in a lot of ways, I'm here in this situation because I've been extremely lucky, and because I have made some horrible, horrible decisions. I mean, I have just put myself in some terrible, terrible situations, and somehow I came out of it, and I'm here doing some amazing things and having these experiences, and like having the opportunities that I have. Where it could have turned out very, very differently. But I just, yeah, I just think it's really like when we talk about this, I kind of get amped up because I cannot express strongly enough that you are the person that knows yourself the best. Nobody else is ever going to know you as well as you have the possibility of knowing you, right? I think a lot of the problems that people face is they don't spend the time actually trying to get to know themselves. What do you want?
Mm-hmm.
What is important to you? What what do you not want? Who are the people that you want to surround yourselves with?
Yeah.
What paths do you want to take? What paths do you want to avoid? Do you want to avoid being an accountant with the cushy job and the wife and the yeah. So yeah, this is I mean, you've tapped into something that I could just talk about for hours and hours and hours, and I'm going to stop right now. But this is something that I really care about a lot. And like, don't live my life. Don't live your life. Live your own life
Yeah.
and make sure that it's like spend some time and figure out it's the best life for you.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting because a lot of the people I talk to that are my age, I mean most of the conversation is just about career. I mean,
Yeah.
26-year-olds in general, like a lot of the people I know in Minnesota and whatnot, like we all just talk about how much that they hate their jobs, and it's this unfortunate thing where we're in this situation where I feel like a lot of people are picking what they think is just necessary to live and survive, but they're not picking what's they're actually passionate about or what will bring them some sense of purpose.
Well, my wish, like for my students that I've worked with in the past, they will have heard this word before, but I think a lot of us are just surviving. And, you know, at certain times, all of us will, that's the ultimate goal, right? There's certain times where it's like life's freaking tough and all you can do is survive.
Yeah.
But the ultimate goal for me is to thrive, to live the life that most reflects and replenishes the person that you are and the person that you want to be.
Yeah. Well, on that note, I think a good place to end it for today.
Okay.
So, well, thanks for tuning in, guys. You can catch us on Spotify at Nopes and Opes on Spotify, on Facebook, Nopes and Opes as well. The book is available in the podcast description. Our email, if you ever want to reach out to us, is nopeopepod@gmail.com. The YouTube channel is Nopes and Opes on YouTube. Everything, everywhere, it's Nopes and Opes. You can like and subscribe. We appreciate it. Give us a follow on Spotify. Share it with your friends. Whatever you want to do. If you like it, let us know. But with that being said, we appreciate it. Thanks for watching and listening, and we'll see you guys in the next one.